Man, it's like someone's been out here robbing parts off this, man.
It was me.
You drove the hatch? You gonna put that on the hatch? Mm-hmm. Those 7-inch brakes? Mm-hmm. Sweet. That is looking very good. After doing a little digging around last night and searching through bins and things like that, I noticed that I have some coilovers, and they look like they'll work. Might be a little stiff, but they'll work. A buddy of mine actually gave me these because it had the 326 power springs on them. And I was going to use them on the sedan, but I don't have to. I'll use them on this. So as you can see, to kind of check and see if all of our angles were going to be right for the tie rod and the lower control arm, we just took the top out. That way it could be as low as it possibly could. At the moment, we are hitting this part right here. That's obviously not going to be there. So we just had the strut just shoved up through the top hat hole with no top hat in there. And it looks like everything's going to work out the way we want it to. We're going to have to take and weld some brackets like these onto that other coil sleeve down at the bottom, so it will actually bolt up to the truck. Don't think that's going to be too big of an issue. And then we have to figure out the lower control arm situation. Don't know if we're going to cut the knuckle, swap the tie rod, or not the tie rod, cut the knuckle, swap the lower control arm, or try to press in some different ball joints. But that's what we're about to do right now. Take everything apart, see what our options are. So Cody is taking the task on of cutting the tabs where it mounts the strut to the knuckle off of the old struts that we cannot use, and we're going to try to graft these onto the Godspeeds I have over there.
Well, I think this center section's welded to the strut, so I was hoping I could just cut it here and separate it, but it's actually welded.
So we'll have to figure that out. And these are blown, by the way, so we're not just cutting on a charged gas shock.
It's not gonna like shoot nobody in the chest or anything.
If it does, I'll try to video it, you know. In the meantime, while he does that, I'm going to try to figure out how to mount our top hat. What we've got here is an adjustable top hat for camber caster, all that deal, you know, typical stance shit. But if you look at it here, it's a triangular pattern, but they're not quite symmetrical. Whereas this one, it's very hard to tell, but this one's actually a little bit different pattern, so I've got to slot one of the holes out. And we'll use a nice thick washer, put them back together. That's in there. Now in theory we should be able to take this, well, and it will mount somewhere to it like so. So if you look here, it's really dark. There we go. If you look, we've got everything kind of mocked up. That's not welded, but that's where it'll approximately be. The spring is compressed, or the strut. Quit licking me! We've got everything maxed out as low as it can go at the moment with the setup that we have currently. The only issue we have is tie rod clearance at the moment, but like I said, these are bottomed out. Everything else looks really good. We still have clearance for our ball joint there. It's still got a little room in it, and everything's looking pretty good. If you look out here, it's a significant bit lower than it was when we started this. In my opinion, that is just about as good as you can get on a Kei truck for fitment. Obviously a little more camber, different tire size. It could look better, but from last night to now, we've made significant increase in awesomeness. So we're gonna get these cut the rest of the way, prepped, spot weld them, and then we can set the truck down and see how it's actually gonna sit on the ground. And Cody just got done prepping everything to tack weld and get it on the truck. So we're going to tack weld this once we get it into position where we need it, and put it back on the truck and put some weight on it and see how it's gonna do. Alright, to give you a little update here, I've got the spindle with the stock strut assembly on it, and then I've got our modified one right here. As you can tell, this mounts similar to how like an S chassis would. It's got 2 bolts goes through it. Strut goes up right there to the top hat. But as you can tell, this one's super long. Now if we were lifting the truck, that'd be fine. But what we've done here is we've taken these Godspeeds, we cut this piece off of the factory strut since we're not going to be able to use it, and we're welding that to this. It's probably still hot, but I've just got it spot welded in a couple spots. We're going to put this back on the truck, see if it'll support the weight and if everything looks decent geometry wise, and then I'll get those full welded up at the shop later this week. There you go. Yeah, run it in. Yeah. There's a hole that needs welded up, but we won't speak about that. And I'm gonna get washers for these.
my camber. Oh my.
Those good. High five, we made those.
Hell yeah.
So with the truck at this height, man, it looks good. But our tie rod's very unhappy. So we can either drop the tie rod down some, raise the truck, or notch the frame. Raising the truck is obviously the easiest solution, but not the coolest. Dropping the tie rod, I'll have to look into it and see what all it would require. And then we could always just notch that. But we'll figure that out later.